They are rage, brutal, without mercy. But you will be worse. Rip and tear until it is done.
What's up guys, Headphones Neil here with my first impressions for Doom The Dark Ages now that I've had a chance to play the entire game. And overall it was a very fun experience. It was nice to see a medieval steampunk version of the game. It kind of did feel like a modded version of Doom, so if you played Doom 2016, then along the lines of that, my main downside was that we didn't get a Cyber Demon dedicated level, but based on some reading online, it does look like Prince Ahzrak, I always keep messing up that guy's name, but he had a problem with the Cyber Demons and wanted to control them, so that's why we don't get too many of them. But by the time we get to later in the game, they start showing up more as their own race of Hell's demons. So neither here nor there, they were a more simplified version of what we get in earlier versions of Doom, so that's the other downside, that they weren't very Cyber Demon-y. They were more of like Cyber Demon's children, or still in the process of being raised or something, so that was kind of a downside to that. But overall, it was an interesting story as far as the Cyber Demon being controlled by the Maykrs, getting free of that, and kind of lending some credence and backbone to the idea that Hell can't contain the Doomslayer. So like I said, overall a fun game. The only other issue I had was being able to use the bow and arrow thingy. That's the medieval version of the BFG 9000, but if you upgrade your other weapons enough, it doesn't really make too much of a difference. It does take a little bit longer to beat certain areas, but it's not really a downside for me. The dragon levels and the mech warrior levels were a definite downside. I didn't really understand the necessity for having them, aside from being a part of the whole steampunk medieval parts of the game. I think a better payoff would have been if they had a after the initial levels with them, that they had that Cyber Demon dedicated level as you playing the mech, calling on your dragon, and expanding on the story that way by having them and having some sort of use for them. So I think it was a missed opportunity on that front, so something that I think could potentially be worked on if they do make a sequel to this part of the game. But overall, positive experience. Give it a grade of about an A minus. Definitely worth playing. I enjoyed it far more than Doom Eternal, since I couldn't get beyond the initial levels there, but will make me want to go back to try Doom Eternal just to see if I change my opinion on that now that I've finished with the Dark Ages.